Hi, and welcome to Mike's Garage. So today we're going to do a review on this Greener Power 48 volt 100 amp hour battery. It even has a 200 amp BMS. So we're going to take a look at all the specs on it. We're going to look at the case itself. I've already charged it up, so it's fully charged. So then we're going to start the load test. All right, so let's begin. So this does come with a few different things to it. It has a manual, and then it also has this spec sheet. So typical specs that you would expect to see on it. It is 100 amp hour capacity, 5,120 watt hours. It does have prismatic cells in it, which is good. It's quite heavy, 83.78 pounds. Now it's lighter than my Vactor server rack batteries that are about 100 pounds each, but that's still 83 pounds is pretty heavy. It does have a BMS cutoff current of 600 amps plus or minus 80 amps at 32 milliseconds and a peak of 500 amps for 5 seconds. So the BMS can put out quite a bit. In the actual user manual, it does state that it's a 200 amp BMS. Now the manual is pretty good. It's got some cool stuff in it, and I'll just kind of go over a few things real quick. So this battery has a wide variety of uses. I mean, you can use it for solar, but you can use it for other things as well. Once again, the BMS, you can see right here, 200 amp BMS on it. So that is kind of cool. It can really put out some serious power. As far as connections, 4 P1S, so 4 in parallel, 1 in series. So recommended not to put more than 4 in parallel, I'm guessing, because if you put more than that, you're going to want to have dedicated fuses so you don't run into any sort of issues. Once this is fully tested, I am going to take this battery and kind of throw it on my shop setup, which already has 12 in parallel, so this will be lucky 13. Few things in here. It talks about wire gauge, really important. So you're going to fuse for the wire gauge that you have. I recommend using T-class fuses on all 48 volt batteries. So if you're going to say you're going to pull 100 amps, 115 amps or less out of it, use 2 gauge wire. If you're going to do a lot less than that, you could probably get away with 4. I never recommend going with 6 or 8 gauge. It's just too thin. So I'll use 2 gauge when this is hooked up to my system, and then I'll have a fuse set up, either 125 or 150 amp T-class fuse, one or the other, but 2 gauge wire, normally what I recommend if you're only trying to get, 100 amps or so out of it. Other things that it talks about in here, as far as disconnect, it does have low voltage disconnect. It does have high voltage disconnect. It does have a Bluetooth on it, so there is an app for it. I'll show you that real quick. Here's the different voltages so you can figure out what your theoretical sock is. State of charge, that is. And then here's the actual, the Bluetooth as far as what the app looks like on it. What is kind of cool is you can see all your individual cell voltages, which is kind of neat. I was surprised to find that on the app, at least with the ones that I have, the lifetime batteries. Those don't show you per cell. This is actually kind of nice that it shows that, so you know how balanced that they are. And then talks about storage and shipping. So that's about it with that. As far as the case on it, the case is pretty good. You can see on the logo it talks about golf carts. I don't know if this is supposed to be a golf cart battery. It does have some certifications on it. So you have CE and you have ROHS on it. But it seems like it's pretty decent. So it is fully charged up now. So the next thing that I'm going to do is actually do a test on it to see how much capacity it is. So capacity test, and we'll see what it does. So let me unplug this real quick. And as you can see, it's fully charged. It stopped charging probably about an hour ago. So I'm going to take these off. Now, whenever that you're connecting up either charger or a capacity tester or anything else, inverter for sure, you want to make sure that you definitely use a resistor when you're connecting it up. So I'll connect up my, I'll do the positive first, and then I'll connect this up to the ground. It really doesn't matter what size that you put the resistor on, because, you know, it's essentially you're adding resistance to the total circuit. Let me just plug this in real quick to get this thing powered on. All right. So we'll count to about 10 seconds, and then we'll go ahead and connect it up. Still might see a little bit of a spark, but, you know, as long as you minimize it, that's the key thing. Oh, the other thing too is when you hook these things up, you want to make sure that it is fully counterclockwise. Otherwise, you will burn this thing out pretty quick. So I'm seeing that the voltage right now is 54.1, kind of looking at the capacity tester. Okay, that should be long enough. Let's go ahead and hook it up. Yay, no sparks. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to do my course, and I'm just going to move it just a hair up, because it doesn't take much for you to blow this thing out, the MOSFET that's in it. And let me do this real quick. I got to reset this. I got to post another video on these EcoWorthies. They're 280 amp hours, and it actually came up 289.85. Those things are phenomenal. All right, let me just reset this real quick. All right, so it's reset, 54.1 volts. Just kind of creep the course up real quick till it starts moving. All right, so I'm getting 1.3 amps or 72 watts, and now I'm going to do my fine adjustment. And this thing can do 150 watts out of this capacity tester. And right now, I'm at 140, which right there is good. And then I'm just going to throw a fan on it real quick, just to kind of increase the airflow and make the tester last longer. Now that's going to be plugged into the outlet, of course. It's not going to be pulling off the battery. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, there we go. So right now it's at about 2.5 amps. It's going to take quite some time because this is a rather large battery to do the capacity test on it. So we'll see where it's at when it's done. As you can see, I do have a fuse on this. Everything that I try to do has a fuse. I mean, if you're familiar with my setup, I mean, I overfuse everything. So make sure whenever that you're using, like your charger, there's a fuse, or if you're using a capacity tester, that you have a fuse. And then once you take a battery like this and you actually put it in use, since it is 48 volt, once again, use a T-class fuse. Highly recommended. That way it's got the interrupt capacity to extinguish the arc. You got to remember that this BMS can put out, 600 watts or 600 amps. That is peak. 600 amps can melt quite a few wires. So, make sure you have a thick enough gauge wire to be able to handle how much load that you're going to put on it, and then fuse it for that wire thickness. All right, so it's going to run for a bit, and we'll check on it a little bit later. All right, so the capacity test is finally done on this Greener Power 51.2 volt 100 amp hour battery. So we got 102 amp hours out of it. It's rated for 100, so we have 102.08 and 5290 watt hours. And it ran for 46 hours, so we did a slow discharge on it. And yeah, so not too bad. So it does actually put out more than the rated capacity. I've seen some 100 amp hour batteries put out 104, 105. This one did 102, which is fine. What I'll end up doing is adding that battery to this existing bank, and I'll probably just get another T-class fuse on the right hand side, put it on there, and then probably put the battery on the bottom. And yeah, a little bit extra power for the 12,000 XP inverters. So that's it. Thanks again for watching Mike's Garage.